That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about He Went That Way! The directorial debut of Jeffrey Darling, which premiered at the 2023 Tribeca Film Festival. Vertical is releasing it, they did release it on January 5th, and on VOD January 12th, 2024. Sadly, Jeffrey Darling died before he saw the bad reviews.
Yeah, I guess that's good. So I don't have to give a disclaimer not to watch the video. I didn't care for this one. This movie, a journey of curious tensions and bonds between two and at times three interesting characters all on their own path.
Sounds like If You Seek Amy.
Yeah. What is your pull quote?
If he went that way, you'll want to go the other way.
Damn.
With this tepid, completely lackluster squandering of a bizarre and creepy scenario.
Ooh, mine. Playing like that 1955 educational film warning of the dangers of homosexuality, a person would need to have a sickness of the mind to think He Went That Way is a well-executed effort. This shit was terrible. It says based on true events mostly, but it's about this guy named, in real life, Larry Raines, who was convicted of killing several people.
A serial killer, yes.
In this movie, that character's name is Bobby, played by Jacob Elordi. Mm-hmm. And the story focuses apparently on, they're saying a victim of Bobby's who got away, although I don't really...
He is manhandled.
He is, but it's not like, when you watch like the Jeffrey Dahmer story and you see the one person who literally was about to be killed get away. But it's like a road trip movie between Bobby, Jacob Elordi, and Jim, played by Zachary Quinto. Mm-hmm. And Zachary Quinto's character is an entertainer. He's known for having this performing chimpanzee. And this is also based on a real person.
Spanky.
The chimpanzee's name is Spanky. Mm-hmm. So, and it's set like in the late 60s.
64.
Oh, it's 64? Mm-hmm. One day, Zachary Quinto is like at a gas station. We're told that they're in Michigan, I think.
But the narration opens and says several weeks earlier in Death Valley.
Oh, okay. So they are on the West Coast. I was confused because all of this seems like they're in the desert, but they end up in Illinois.
Yes, and I think at least Larry Lee Raines, his brother was a killer too, was doing his stuff in Michigan.
Oh.
I think.
Anyway, Jacob Elordi's at a gas station, kind of loitering. And Zachary Quinto's also there trying to get his vehicle repaired. And Zachary Quinto offers Jacob a ride.
Just out of the blue.
Yeah. This is the gayest movie I think I've seen in a long time that is not like about gay characters, because Zachary Quinto comes off as so gay, but I guess his character's not. And don't know why he just wanted to pick up this super attractive man standing in the desert. But he picks him up, they go on this road trip, and Jacob like tries to rob Zachary and kill him. Kind of. He like hits him and points a gun at him. But Zachary begs, please don't. My chimpanzee can't be without me. So Zachary says, fine. Or Jacob says, fine, I need to get to Chicago. And Zachary says, well, I can get you there.
I'll take your wallet. Make sure you go nowhere.
And your favorite ring.
Oh, yeah.
And they go on this road trip that I'm confused on how long the trip took. But a few things happen which we can get to, but ultimately they get to where they're going, and Jacob lets Zachary leave. Mm-hmm. Like, there's very little tension thinking that Jacob will kill Zachary. And after Zachary drops off Jacob and drives off, so now he's completely safe, Zachary, like, doubles back to try to find Jacob, because he still wants to, like, I guess, hang out with him. And Jacob is like, no, kick rocks. And then we see that he killed more people and ultimately was apprehended and convicted. The end. Mm-hmm. There is so much about this movie that's bad. I think the casting, the performances, the writing, the cinematography, the chimpanzee who is clearly being played by like a 5-year-old in a mask.
Or a little person.
Maybe,
because
yeah.
They have at the very end, they have Spanky smoking a cigarette. And we get a close-up. You can see someone's eyes.
Yeah. Well, you can see that it's a mask.
And the weight is wrong because it's jumping. The Spanky is jumping onto Zachary several times. It's like this. It doesn't seem like
It looks like a person jumping on another person.
This is the worst primate in a costume since Joan Crawford's Trog.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Where to begin? So, go ahead.
Well, I think Jeffrey Darling was a cinematographer who worked in various other capacities in the industry for years. It's been a long time since he'd done anything. So I don't know what inspired this.
Well, let's just start with the casting. So, because I was trying to look up the real Larry Raines and
What if he was a snack?
And he's not, I didn't think he was much to look at. Certainly not necessitating someone like Jacob Elordi playing him, who looks like a full-on model in this movie.
It's a Route 66 commercial.
Yeah, it really is. And Zachary Quinto, looking at the man who this character is based on, don't know why he felt like he needed to play it. Also, his character comes across as so gay. And he's doing this accent that to me sounded like if he was told be like gay Ned Flanders.
Yes, he's doing this Midwestern accent that's very distracting.
So of course, if you don't know the story and you see Zachary Quinto ogling Jacob Elordi and then asking him if he wants a ride, you're thinking, oh, there are going to be some gay undertones. But throughout the film, it does feel very gay. Like I was side-eyeing this movie the entire time. However, we have several phone conversations with Zachary Quinto and his wife, and they're arguing.
Esther.
Her name is Esther. We're not sure what. She seems to be frustrated with him, and we find out that Spanky, the chimpanzee, has lost its contract with the studio. So they're having a hard time finding work. We find out in the end that what Zachary's doing is driving to go sell Spanky to like a reserve or something. And his wife has orchestrated it.
To a woman that's kind of like Carol Baskin.
Right. and that scene when Zachary finally gets to her to sell the chimp was horrible. And it ends with the chimp kind of like attacking the lady. And when they run out of the house, I hope I can get a screenshot of it. It looks like like Zachary's running with a person with a mask on. Okay.
But it has such promise when you know what it's about and during its setup, because it's like this desert neo-noir. I'm thinking something like Gun Crazy or its remake Mad Love.
Oh. When Jacob first meets Zachary, he says, "Are you a suck?" A sick, F-U-C-K. And then it immediately establishes I'm not a queer and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, okay, again, still assuming that maybe Zachary's going to try to pull something on him. No.
But the psychology, so if you're going to cast these two people that both look how they look, I don't understand how we didn't take pains to psychologize how this person, the serial killer, is keeping this man that could have easily gotten away at any time. So what we're missing is that component, one of danger or any discernible tension. But why is this man, knowing the propensity of violence he has, why is he staying with him? There has to be some kind of titillation or attraction.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's no tension because, like you said, it seems like Zachary can get away whenever. And also, Jacob explains to Zachary that he has killed someone already and has assaulted Zachary, so he knows the potential.
And, well, that's why I bring up something like Gun Crazy, where this one corrupt person kind of really gets somebody else to get into their world, because there's a shoplifting scene, and Jim is like, oh, it was, very exciing.
The writing is so crunchy.
We should drag that screenwriter.
Go ahead.
Evan Weiner. Oh my God. Who I've seen the previous film that he had, that was made by Jorge Michel Grau, called Big Sky in 2015. And I remember watching that because I was a fan of Grau's breakout hit We Are What We Are, about that family of Mexican cannibals.
Okay.
Which was also remade in the U.S. But Big Skies with Bella Thorne and Keira Sedgwick, and that is terrible. Terrible.
So Zachary and Jacob are driving along, and there's a noise in the back of the vehicle. So Jacob freaks out. So Zachary has to pull over, and he opens up the back, and Jacob sees that there's like this chimpanzee in a cage. And Jacob freaks out. I knew you were a suck. What the F, man? Blah. Like, he's going crazy. And then Zachary lets the chimpanzee out. And then Jacob's like, oh, I've watched everything on TV that Spanky's done. Like, I love Spanky. I have like Spanky poster or something. So you, like, what? So you don't know what a monkey is when you see it? And then when you do see it, you realize like you're its biggest fan? I thought that scene was ridiculous. Right?
Well, yes, like all of these, again, the scenario, the bones are there, but how this is, the shit hanging on him is no good.
Then they end up at a hotel, and at first, again, the gay undertones, because Zachary's like, well, Jacob says, I'll just sleep in the car. And Zachary's like, no, sleep in the hotel. Like, I'm sure I can find a room with 2 beds. Like, what? This is like a violent person who says he's killed someone, and you're trying to get him in the room with you. So Jacob insists no. And then at a point, Zachary comes back outside to check on him and sees that Jacob has broken into a car. And then when Zachary comes over, Jacob points a gun at him and says, this is a stick-up. And that's when he kind of beats up Zachary, but then Zachary begs for him not to hurt him, I guess.
That's also the hotel where I was thinking this looks like the same hotel used where Sarah Paulson stays as Ratchet in the Ryan Murphy series.
Or it reminded me of the Bates Motel. But anyway, so then they end up taking a detour to go visit like this minister, a guy wearing the little, whatever it's called, a collar. So then I thought, oh, this must be Zachary's gay lover. It just felt so gay that I'm like, didn't it feel to you like because the way the minister is acting with Zachary, it was like that YSL movie we watched with Pedro Pascal and Ethan Hawke.
The Almodovar. Strange Way of Life.
It felt like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, everything is dripping with homoeroticism. Yes. And again, partially that is our own baggage probably about Zachary Quinto. But I think it's pretty apparent. I don't know. Like if this had been a remnant of the 1950s, we would all be interpreting this as heavily coded.
Yeah. But then we find out, no, it's not his like closeted gay lover. It's his brother-in-law who owes him money. Mm-hmm. And the brother-in-law is being so obnoxious, like basically saying, I don't have to pay you your money. So what does Zachary do? He tries to sick Jacob onto the minister, like knowing that he'll get violent. But then Jacob gets mad, like, you're trying to use me. But then it's made to seem like maybe
a gun is fired. Like
Jacob did do something, not kill him, but maybe like threaten him. Mm-hmm. So after watching the movie, I thought that was kind of the most interesting, like that could have been an interesting angle for the screenplay, is that this sort of like milquetoast guy meets this very alluring violent man, and he convinces him to help him take care of someone. I think that could have been a nice angle.
Well, any angle. If you're not if you're not going to take the scenario and run with it, it's like all of the components are there to do something really strange and grotesque and perverse even. And it sets us up for that with the opening about this is mostly based on a true story. Yeah. Because it's based on a book called, I think, Larry Karamazov, which I believe that must be a Dostoevsky reference, but I haven't read the book. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You change the names of who it's based on anyway, so do something interesting.
There is no story. I mean, nothing really happens. We kind of meet this person, like we meet these two people, they hang out for a period, and then they separate. And then in the end, we see that Jacob's character kills more people and gets arrested.
Because what did you say that moment was like when he tries to sick... Oh, this film we watched called My Bodyguard.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that could have been a subversive angle to this story. Is this guy knowing that what this person's doing is wrong, but he's going to use him for his own selfish reasons, and how he reconciles that and moves on, especially being this entertainer who's known for like children's entertainment.
Mm-hmm. You could do something really creepy and weird. But I don't know, Quinto, he reminded me of Scott Bakula.
Well, I like Scott better.
Well, but he has kind of that look. And Elordi, I don't dislike his performance in this, but it reminds me one of his co-star Rosamund Pike in Saltburn. because that's his breakout year this year. Which after she did Gone Girl, she had several films that she had in the can that hadn't come out that weren't really good, like Return to Sender.
Oh.
So it's like you have this breakout star that everybody's talking about, and then this terrible film. But my reaction to his performance is very much something like, "So you're serial killing James Dean? That don't impress me much." I don't know.
Yeah, and then he's playing it kind of manic. It's almost like he's acting like a child who, whenever he gets upset, just kind of like flails about. Although you said Zachary reminded you of Scott Bakula, but I thought you said he reminded you of Sam Eagle.
If Sam Eagle and Scott Bakula had procreated, it would look like Zach.
So another angle this could have taken is at a point, Jacob wants to go out. So we see them getting ready, and we see Jacob without his shirt on in the bathroom, and Zachary's there, and Zachary's kind of looking like, again, lots of gay undertones. And then Zachary tells Jacob, "Oh, like, you could look better. Let me give you this." And he gives him a red sweater and kind of like tucks his shirt in, and they decide to go out for a night on the town. And Jacob wants to go dancing at this place that does ballroom dancing. But when he gets there, the person selling the tickets is like, "Oh, tonight is rock and roll night, not ballroom." And Jacob blows up at her. And Zachary's like, "Why are you so upset? Like, you wanted to meet," because Jacob's saying he wants to meet someone to talk to. And Zachary's like, "Well, that's easy. We can meet girls very easily." Which I think is funny, again, carrying my own baggage about Zachary Quinto. But then he decides, well, let's meet some girls. So he uses Spanky, the chimpanzee, and they meet two girls. Immediately.
A monkey, I want it.
And Jacob is being so weird, and these girls are kind of like aloof towards him, which just seems crazy. But the creepiest part, I think the only part of the film that made me a little unnerved, is Zachary's like, "Well, what's up? Like, you're not talking to them." And he's like, "Oh, well, it's not that I really want to talk to them. I just need to ask them some questions." And then we find out he only wanted to go out that night to meet a lady because he wants to kill one. And Zachary's kind of like, "Oh, no." But then he proceeds anyway. And they convince these two girls to come back to the room. At a point, Jacob gets a little physical, but Zachary de-escalates it by saying, "Oh, he's an actor. You've seen him in that one movie, that one TV show, Route 66. He's just preparing for a role. Because clearly he's going to be like the next James Dean." And these dumb girls are like, "Oh, okay." And then we see them wake up the next morning.
They spent the night in the hotel room.
They spend the night in the whole hotel room, and then Zachary and Jacob just leave.
And technically, Bobby molests one of them in their sleep. That's another scene dripping with homoeroticism, because they're talking about being gentle.
But like nothing happened. And I thought that could have been an interesting angle of this guy, like this closeted gay man sort of infatuated with this handsome killer. And because he just wants to be close to him, he's helping him do evil things. This movie's not even doing that.
Jim seems very much like the kind of gay man that is...
Jim is Zachary.
Jim, played by Zachary, is the type of gay man that is intent on turning straight people that are technically unavailable to them, and so that when they fail, they have some kind of excuse to explain why they weren't able to get what they want.
So we keep hearing Esther, Zachary's wife, on the phone. She was so annoying. She was so annoying. There's a scene where Zachary's character has to steal Pepto-Bismol, and we see him drinking it earlier. It's never really explained if he has chronic issues or he's just nervous because of what's happening. I felt like that was lazy.
Yeah.
Then, again, the undertones, they're driving, and Jacob alludes to maybe like Spanky masturbating.
Yes.
And Zachary goes, "Oh, he does.
He gets the urge."
Sometimes he gets the urge. And again, it's like, oh, where are we going? Nowhere. He just said it.
Like, what are we talking about now?
Like, what are we talking about now?
A chimpanzee masturbating, just a non sequitur. Okay. Right.
At the end, when Zachary decides to leave Jacob and drive off, he says, "All right, Spanky, let's burn." I thought that was a horrible way to end. Then we also see that there's a montage at the end of Jacob's killings, and he's wearing the sweater Zachary gave him. Which I just thought looked so stupid. So he wore this sweater until he got arrested, or did he do all the additional killings in one night? Like what?
Also, there's no, I don't know, that somebody that knew what they were doing could have made this like Terrence Malick's Badlands, you know, about this killing couple. This could have been fantastic with what it's based on. But even the score, the soundtrack selection.
Yeah, it just felt like music that was in the public domain that sounds like 1960s. I don't know.
Nothing builds a mood or creates a tone, and it's just really unfortunate. And it's surprising that Elordi and Quinto are both executive producers on this.
During the end credits, we get footage of the actual man, the guy Zachary Quinto's modeling his character after, and I thought this would have been so much more interesting as a documentary.
Well, it would, but I don't know if this elder gentleman is
willing to be honest.
Willing to be honest about why he picked up this young hitchhiker.
Right, because he says it was his first time, and he says, I just saw this young, I think he says college guy or something, and so I just wanted to give him a ride, and it's like, okay, girl.
Sure. I mean, it was a different time, a different place, but, you know, a lot of stories are the way they are because people aren't being honest about their true intentions or feelings. So this feels very much like that because it doesn't make sense why... this footnote about this serial killer, I don't know how long the interaction was that, you know, he was held captive by his charm, but it just doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense.
Like this needs to add up somehow.
What would you give he went that way?
I was surprised as each minute ticked by, I held it in lower regard, a 1.
I would give this film 1 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.